Welcome back to Earl Knows It All. Man, we got a jam-packed show for you today. Steph drops 50 this weekend. We had a game 7. A lot going on, man. Now we got LeBron versus Steph, part 5, or is it part 6? They met so many times, I can't remember at this point. We also got Jimmy going off, man. We told you he eliminated the Bucks, and now he goes to Madison Square Garden. And just as I suspected, there's big things, but he rolled his ankle. Is he going to be ready for game 2? We'll see. James Harden turns back the clock, right? 45, all the way live. Went to Vegas, and I guess he caught his second win. Does Philly have a chance to win this series now without Embiid? We'll see. And are we slipping on the Denver Nuggets, man? I mean, they're up 2-0 now. Phoenix was the odds-on favorite besides Milwaukee, I think, to win the NBA championship. And now they go back to Phoenix down 0-2. We'll see. And, of course, the biggest story probably this weekend, starting last week, was the NFL draft. It's finished. It's completed. Did your team get the picks that they need? We'll give out some draft grades. Maybe. We'll see. We'll go a little bit in depth, talk about some of the top picks, some of the top stories. My new team, I'm a Philly Bulldog now, man. Ha ha. Fly, Eagles, fly. Stay tuned for this and more. All on Earl Knows It All. Welcome back, man. We're going to get right into the NFL. Right, of course, I host another show called Cover 2 with my partner in crime, B Woo. We'll be back in live and in effect. Right now, we're taking a little time off of the off season, but I got your draft and your off season updates right here still. So last week we got a lot of stuff going on, man. First, the trade was finally finalized of the Jets picking up Aaron Rodgers, man. He finally goes to the Jets. They end up swapping picks, I think, in the first round from 13 to 15, or excuse me, yeah. The Jets give up 13. Packers move up to 15. Of course, some other compensatory picks were given in that as well, but Aaron Rodgers is now a member of the Jets. Also, finally, we've been preaching for this team to pay the man, and it finally happened. My guy, Lamar Jackson, finally got paid. I think he got 185 million guaranteed. Whatever it was definitely, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it made him have the newest, highest paid contract after Jalen Hurts just had it last week. So congratulations to Lamar Jackson, man, for getting that deal done. And more so, I will say congratulations to the Baltimore Ravens because they get to keep an MVP caliber quarterback, one of the best in the league. And yeah, they're a Super Bowl contender now. They got OBJ. They picked up a couple different guys. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And speaking of Jalen Hurts and, the Philadelphia Eagles, or as I like to call them, the Philly Dogs, my team now, my new team. So if you've been following me, I made a prediction last year that I had the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. They didn't win it. They got there. I had them beating Kansas City in the Super Bowl, but I just like the grit that they played with. And most importantly, I like their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, man. But you know what makes me like them even more? If you know me, I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, man. I'm Georgia boy, down south Georgia boy. Shout out to Pastor Troy, man. Yeah, they picked up a lot of dogs in this draft. They traded for my guy DeAndre Swift, who was a former dog that was playing with the Lions, man. And you know what, man? The proof is in the pudding, man. If you want to build a winner, go get guys from a winning program. Georgia's won back-to-back national championships. Go get Jalen Carter, man. You got a defense that already has monstrous guys on it, man. Big time DNs and tackles, and you go and get Jalen Carter with the what was that? The 9th pick I think they had right after the Falcons had that pick. Yeah, and if you know me, like I said, I'm from Atlanta. I root for the Atlanta teams by default. I used to be a Falcon fan, man. I guess I've gotten to the place in my life where I can root for the Falcons, but I understand what they are. So I don't let them get me down anymore like they used to do. They have no control over me anymore after 28-3. People post jokes or try to crack jokes and say, oh, 28-3. Don't bother me a bit anymore, man. I laugh at it too because the ineptness of this team just is what it is, man. So I would have loved for the Falcons to take Jalen Carter, right? Of course, Jalen Carter had some off the field stuff with being involved in the racing incident that killed his former teammate and one of the I think it was PAs or something on the team as well. The young lady was driving who passed away. So rest in peace to them again. But Jalen Carter on the football field was one of the best prospects, if not the best prospect in this draft. But he ends up slipping to number 9 to my new team, Fly Eagles Fly, the Philadelphia Dogs, aka the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, and it's interesting, man. I think the Eagles are gonna be right back in the NFC. You know, a lot of teams get that Super Bowl hangover. You lose the Super Bowl and then it's tough, but they trying to reload, man. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They paid Jalen Hurts. They got these guys. They're drafting them. They already had N'Kobe Dean on the team as well, for another former dog that won the title. So I like what they're doing up there in Philly, man. Shout out to my Philly guys. The top picks in the draft. Let me get my notes here. Bryce Young went number 1 in the draft, right? To the Carolina Panthers. It was a toss-up, but as we kind of got closer to the draft, we started to hear more rumors that Bryce Young was going to be their guy. It was between CJ Stroud, who ends up going number 2 to the Houston Texans. And you even heard a little mix of Anthony Richardson possibly being in the mix at number 1 as well. But in the end, it's Bryce Young that goes number 1. A lot of people were talking about how short he is. He was shorter than Roger Goodell when he goes up there and shakes his hand. But again, a guy from a winning program, proven winner, one in high school, one in college, you know, in that great Alabama system, and one of the top QBs to come out of there, man, besides Tua, as far as from a stat standpoint. So, yeah, I think Bryce Young, they got him with one, and shout out to this guy who hasn't gotten a chance to be a head coach again, but has done some great things up in Indianapolis, as well as in Detroit as a head coach. They got a quarterback guru for him to actually kind of make sure they mold him in the right way, man. So I think this is going to be an opportunity for Bryce Young to maybe do some good work. That division is wide open. No more Tom Brady, no more Drew Brees, no more Matt Ryan, my quarterback, and yeah, no more Cam Newton. So it's a host of new guys that's rolling in there now, man. You got Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. He hasn't proven anything. I think he started the last 4 games, so why not go for it, man? Get yourself a new head coach, Frank Wright, a guy who has had some success as well. You know, been in some systems that have been successful in Philly as well. So, you know, you get a chance to kind of see what this guy's made of. I think Bryce Young, if given an opportunity, will do well there if they put the right pieces around him. And we'll see what happens there. CJ Stroud was a guy I liked a lot. I didn't see a lot of CJ Stroud. I stick to SEC football, particularly Georgia, like I said, being a Georgia fan. So the only time I saw CJ Stroud, really and truly, I watched him a little bit in the Michigan game, and then I watched him play Georgia in the playoffs. And he looked good against Georgia, the top defense in the country, man. The only guy that really did anything against him. College football is a little different. You know, it's a lot more windows and stuff open to get the ball to your guys. But overall, I was impressed by him. I know there's a lot of talk about his testing and how he did as far as his scores, and, you know, people making jokes about that. But the film, you know, has to kind of play out as well. And, man, he looked good on film at times. He had a lot of weapons at Ohio State too. So he's going into a Houston situation that, you know, it's going to be kind of interesting. The number 3 pick, Houston actually traded back up with Arizona, and they took Will Anderson from Alabama, another winning program guy. You get these guys in these programs who have done well, and yeah, they end up getting their guy. So some toss up about would they take a quarterback or would they take Will Anderson? Shout out to D'Amico Ryans. He gets both of his guys, I guess. They get the quarterback and the defensive player at 2 and 3. And D'Amico Ryans did a great job at defense in San Francisco. So I think, you know, he's going to be able to build something with that defense. He's a guy who was in Houston, drafted by Houston, one of their best players in that franchise's history. So it's great to see him kind of building the building blocks, getting the quarterback. Hopefully CJ Stroud will be a guy that will pan out for them. Again, that's another division that's interesting because at number 4, the Indianapolis Colts take Anthony Richardson. I'm not by no means a pundit or expert in draft. I did see this guy play as well against Georgia. So that's where I get most of my take from. And Georgia makes everybody look bad, but as far as being dynamic and the highest ceiling, everything I've heard is this guy is one of the most talented prospects in quarterback history. But you also hear he has a lot of work to do. You know, great size, 6'4", about 240. So I think he's bigger than Nick Bosa, faster than, you know, the fastest wide receiver. He has all these measurables that work. but he only played 13 games at Florida, so not as much experience as you probably would like for a guy to have, but I think he may have an opportunity. A lot of comparisons like Cam Newton, Josh Allen, that big kind of physical guy that can run the ball, run fast with it, run you over if he needs to. Super duper arm, all of that good stuff, man. It'll be interesting to see how Anthony Richardson does. The Colts for the past 5 or 6 years, man, they add Phillip Rivers. They add, since they got rid of since Andrew Luck retired, I should say. Well, not prematurely. I guess it was maturely for him, prematurely for the Colts. Since he's retired, they've been trying to find a quarterback that was going to work, man. They went out and got Phillip Rivers. That didn't work. They got Carson Wentz. That didn't work. They got Matt Ryan. That didn't work. They had a host of guys that have just kind of revolved in that have been, older quarterbacks or guys who have been proven in the league that haven't worked. They finally go get a rookie to allow, maybe some growing pains, but a guy that can grow with, kind of build his thing. And if this guy's dynamic as they say he is and can kind of put it all together, that may be a huge pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. So he's in that division now, like I said, with C.J. Stroud. You got Trevor Lawrence, who was the first overall pick a couple years ago, Jacksonville making the playoffs. And then the Texans, they end up taking, the Titans, excuse me. Titans end up with Will Levis eventually, right? Let me make sure I have that right. I think I saw this. Will Levis, of course, of Kentucky, was one of those guys who had to sit in the draft green room in the first round to kind of go through that. You've seen it with Mac Jones a couple years ago. You saw it more famously with Aaron Rodgers, who could have been the first overall pick. He was in, the running to be that first overall pick, and then unmercifully has to kind of sit there with the cameras just zoomed in on him. We saw it with Lamar Jackson as well a couple years ago when he waited to the end of the first round and finally was picked. So Will Levis had to wait the whole time. He didn't get picked in the first round. The Titans take him in the second round. So 4 young quarterbacks, 3 of them that were drafted this year. We'll see who made the right choice and who did not make the right choice, and kind of what will shake up with that. And Trevor Lawrence, who has probably been one of the top prospects in the past couple of years. Of course, at Jacksonville, won a big playoff game last year. He may be right now the guy that's, the leader in the clubhouse, as they say, at that quarterback position. So AFC South, interesting with those young QBs. NFC South, a lot of young QBs. We're kind of getting to the point in NFL where I guess Aaron Rodgers maybe is like the last of the old guard. You got Big Ben who's gone. Brady's gone. Eli Manning's gone. Like all these guys who were for so long, 10, 15, 20 years, where Brady kind of were the staples in the NFL. Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, I don't think has been picked up by anybody yet. So that old guard of quarterback is kind of going out. Now you got the Pat Mahomes who are kind of coming into their prime. Pat came in his prime, though, winning, but Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, those are the QBs now that are kind of the cream of the crop in the QB class, and the guys that will take us for the next 5 to 10 years. But these young guys who are drafted, we'll start maybe kind of seeing them creep up in the next 4 or 5 years to see what they got. Comment below. Let me know what you think about what your team did. Now, and I have to talk about the Falcons. I'm contractually obligated to talk about the Atlanta Falcons, right? I wanted them to take Jalen Carter, like I said early on. I'll just be truthful. I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder. I guess Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith are. We'll see. They're going to get the keys to him and see. It would be interesting if they would have maybe tried to make a play for Lamar Jackson, but Arthur Blank shot that down, even after he tried to give Deshaun Watson a contract or trade for him. Go figure. But, Atlanta teams are going to do Atlanta things, man. So they take Bijan Robinson, and this is no knock on Bijan Robinson because I understand that this young man is a very excellent running back, right? However, the Falcons drafted a running back in the 3rd round, I think last year, 4th round, Algieri, who was great for them last year. And you have Cordero Patterson, who was also in the running game. It was great for them last year. Your running game was one of the top running games in the league. You didn't necessarily need to take a running back at 8 when people aren't doing this. Now, I'm all for zigging when other people zag or zagging when people zig or whatever you want to call it, but maybe they could have traded now. I think they were worried maybe that Philly would take him because Philly was looking at a running back. I think Miles Sanders left them in the offseason. I can't recall what team he went to, but Yeah, man. I don't know about taking a quarterback at 8. Much like taking a tight end at 4. Much like drafting a wide receiver at 5 after taking that tight end at 4. And maybe they have their version of the triplets without a real quarterback, in my opinion, though. So you got Drake London at wide receiver now. You got Kyle Pitts at tight end. You got Bijan Robinson, all these great dynamic athletes, guys who were, the top position player taken in their class in the draft by the Falcons. But what will this be? It could work out. I mean, it could work out. And they made a lot of moves in the offseason defensively. They added Calais Campbell. You already got Grady Jarrett. I think that would have been a great opportunity to bring in Jalen Carter to learn under those two proven veterans. Now, maybe the fear was Jalen Carter has some off the field stuff and he's a Georgia guy. We want to maybe not try to pick up a guy who's close to home, who may still be distracted. I don't know, but sometimes people may take this the wrong way. Football it's a sport that you got to have a little edge to play the game, man. You banging your head every 5 seconds into another 300-pound man. You got to have a little bit of edge. So you want some guys with a little bit of, and I would, like I said, would have liked to see Jalen Carter. Like I said, from what I understand, Bijan Robinson is a great player, and he may do well for the Falcons. I just don't think running back was a position in need, but we'll see what happens, man. It'll be very interesting to see how this all shakes out. Like I said, I'm not doing any draft grades right now. Maybe later on, as this basketball stuff plays out, we get back into football mode and before training camp. So I'll give you guys a view of what I think each team has done this offseason. Myself and B Woo will be back in the mix with Cover 2. Check us out on our Cover 2 channel as well. Cover 2 will be when Earl knows it all. If you haven't liked and subscribed to that, like and subscribe, as well as you can do here with Earl Knows It All, like and subscribe. But that's my draft recap, man. My recap in this week in the NFL, per se. Let me know what you think, man. Comment below and tell me, like I said, what you think your team did. I'm a Philly Bulldog now, baby. Philly, South Philly in the building. I feel like Freeway. I may have to grow my beard out like the Philly dudes do, man, and just, say early or whatever. I don't know, man. But I'm a Philly Bulldog now, man. This is my team this year. I do reserve the right, however, to jump ship and say that I'm on another team. I just want y'all to know that. I'm fickle like that, man, when it comes to football. So I'm just going to be real with you. They made me this way. Blame the Falcons. But anyway, man, that's my take on this week in the NFL and the draft, my draft recap. Thank y'all for watching, man. Stay tuned. Earl Knows It All. Welcome back to Earl Knows It All, man. And we got to get into some GOAT talk, right? So Steph Curry, man, Game 7 Sunday. He lights the beam, drops 50 on the Sacramento Kings in the closeout game. They win that game 120-100. It was close until kind of that fourth quarter. They ran away with it, and Steph just really put on the show, man. And you can't count. Never. What did Rudy Tomjanovich tell us, man? For you kids out there, Rudy T used to coach the Houston Rockets back in the 90s, man. And he said after 1995's championship, never underestimate the heart of a champion, man. And Steph Curry was that personified. After blowing that Game 6 and getting smoked by the Kings, I was pretty sure the Kings were going to close it out. And surprisingly, I thought they would, man. I thought they would lose that game in Game 6. I thought it was probably over with for them. They win Game 6 in blowout fashion. Go back home. You think, okay, they may close this thing out, man. This is the end of this Warriors sort of run. But Steph Curry had other plans, man. He got a bad shooting night from Clay, who went, I think, 4 for 19 or something like that. Jordan Poole was non-existent. Of course, Draymond's never really going to give you too much offensively on the stat sheet anyway. And Wiggins didn't have one of his good games either. So Steph was kind of flying solo. Steph and Kevon Looney, man, who was dominating that entire series. And, admittedly so, because they play so late and just because it's the Sacramento Kings. I did not watch a lot of Sacramento Kings basketball this year. I caught a couple games, but one thing I have done is seen Domantas Sabonis play in Indiana previously at his other stop. Yeah, man, he left a lot to be desired out there. And I know he was hurt. He was playing with a hurt hand, but this guy led the league in rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. And Kevon Looney kind of, he snatched his chain, man, the whole series. Out physicaled him, dominated on the boards. And that was, I think, the major piece to why that team did not win that game. They had been having some big games from Malik Monk off the bench. Another guy that kind of struggled too, who surprisingly enough, because he was big in a big-time Game 7, his first go-around with the Hawks, Kevin Huerter, he struggled pretty much all series. And Golden State dedicated a lot to trying to make sure he didn't get off, kind of chasing him off those screens and stuff. But I thought we have a much bigger Kevin Huerter series than we did. But, we're going to tie a bow on Sacramento's season, man. It's cool. We appreciate y'all for coming. Of course, I didn't even really get a chance. I haven't recorded since the Lakers handled their business in Game 6 and put away Memphis and put them out of their misery by 40 points, a dominating performance on the hands of the Lakers, man. And D'Lo dropped 31 in that game, D'Angelo Russell. So we get Steph and LeBron again, man, in the playoffs. We've seen him in a play-in game, and LeBron won that game when he saw 3 baskets or whatever he was saying because he got poked in the eye. Of course, we saw them in their 4 runs to the finals against each other. Some of those with Kevin Durant, 2 of them without. But these guys, they've kind of become, I guess, arch nemesis. And how is this era of basketball defined, right? Is this going to be, the outcome of this series, say, okay, this was the LeBron era or the Steph era? I saw somebody tweet that, and I forget who tweeted it. I responded to it. I apologize. Can't remember who tweeted it, but I think it has to be the LeBron era just based on him getting to the finals 10 times or 11 times, I think, however many times it was. He's 4 and 6, I think. All of the he played with against all these different guys. He links us to the Kobe's and the Grant Hills and the other guys who were supposed to be the next Jordan, or the T-Max, all those guys. He played against them, and now he's playing against this younger generation. You throw in the Kevin Durant's and the Stephs and all those guys, and now he's still, battling against guys like Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox and Trae Young and all these young guys who are going now. So it is the LeBron era, but it brings us to an interesting point, man. Steph Curry has won 4 titles. He definitely probably shouldn't have won that title last year. I think Boston was the better team, but he willed his team to a championship, something that people wanted to see him do. And he's willing this team now that we definitely didn't think was going to be able to kind of maybe even get out the first round, especially after they lost that Game 6 at home. He's willing them to the second round. If Steph Curry continues on this trajectory in this season, what do we got to say? What do we place him in the GOAT talk, man? A lot of people, I was born in 1983, right? There's only one GOAT in my eyes. That's Michael Jeffrey Jordan from Wilmington, North Carolina. From Brooklyn, New York, by way of Wilmington, North Carolina, we'll say. However, that's supposed to be switched around. But yeah, man, Mike Jordan is the GOAT to me. But I've heard so many younger people that's in the media now, or so many people that, sometimes we can be prisoners of the moment. And that's not LeBron. I'm not the hugest LeBron fan, but I respect the accomplishments that he's made. He's all-time leading scorer, top 5 in assists or whatever he is. He's going to be the first guy to get 30,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. He's the only guy to ever do that. He's done all these amazing things. He's the most accomplished basketball player we've ever seen. And he did it. Mind you, I was a senior in high school when LeBron was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And I remember saying, this guy's in high school, just like me. Why are they putting his face on the cover of Sports Illustrated as the chosen one? Nobody ever came in with as much hype as he did, and he lived up to it immediately from that first game against Sacramento and hit the ground running. So this is in no way to disrespect LeBron James, right? I respect what he's done for the league, how he's kind of carried his era. A lot of the stuff is probably something that I don't agree with all the buddying up and joining the super teams and stuff, whatever. But, it is what it is, man. Steph Curry, though. This is about Steph Curry right now, and LeBron, too. we're gonna talk about the GOAT lexicon, right? From my eyes, the guys that I've seen, I finally kind of come to the realization a little bit different from who would I pick versus who, and I guess we kind of got to define that. Let's say the GOAT, who's the greatest player that I've ever seen play basketball? Like I said, Michael Jordan is the greatest I've ever seen. For a long time, I said Kobe Bryant was the second greatest player that I ever saw. Part of which made me a Laker fan. I grew up, like I said, kind of watching those Lakers teams. They were on every Sunday. Michael Jordan had retired, my favorite player, and along comes a guy who's the clone to him, the closest thing we've ever seen, and he dominates. Comes in as a high school kid. I remember my high school team had they call them Crazy Eights now, but whatever. I mean, the Kobe's that came out, they wore those shoes, you know. They were Adidas school, you know. So yeah, man. I watched Kobe. He was in high school, had graduated from high school right when I was going into high school. I was in ninth grade his rookie year. I remember arguing with my biology teacher saying the Lakers are gonna beat the Utah Jazz, and they got swept. Kobe was a rookie. He gave me some crap about Kobe shooting the air balls and stuff, but I ride with Kobe, right? I ride with the Lakers. Those are my guys, and that's my team. Kobe has been the second greatest player I've ever seen, right? I put LeBron in there at number 3 for me, man. And it's just based on just the sheer, you know, brevity of everything he's done in his league, man. Getting to the finals that many times, doing all that stuff, leading the league. Always fun. If he's on your team is a championship contender, right? It's been that way for the past. He's been in the league 20 years for, you got to say, 15 years of his career, you know, minus the last few when they had those injuries and minus the first 2 or 3 of his career. His team has been a championship contender every year. So you have to respect that. And he does it a little differently than guys who I grew up admiring, having that killer instinct like Mike and Kobe. And I'm not saying that LeBron doesn't have the killer instinct, but that's just a different level of, if Michael Jordan was playing Dolores Jordan, his mama, he'd probably try to slam dunk on her face. I don't know that LeBron would do that to Gloria James, right? So, you know, he wants to win, but he's going to make the right play. One of the smartest, if not the smartest basketball player we've ever seen. I give LeBron that. Super IQ. Understand? That's why at 38, why he can do what he does, right? However, Steph Curry has changed the game as well, man. Never before have we seen a guy that makes things look like a video game, man, with the shots that he takes, the way he's changed the way basketball is played. And we all know this. We've kind of all litigated this and been through this, so I'm not going to give you a history of basketball. I already kind of gave you a little bit of that, but just what this guy's done. Now, one mark that was against him was he had KD that came and helped him win 2 titles, and, you know, maybe he wasn't even the best player on his team. I guess we kind of got to revisit that too, but what Steph did last year in these playoffs, willing that team to a championship, and what he's doing now, Golden State, they're not a very good team to me. They're definitely not a great team. They're a good team. They're a playoff team, but they're not a great team. Based on their road record, it proved that to us this year. Them struggling with Sacramento proved that they are not the same team that they were that we saw in 16, 17, 18, 19, those years, right? Not even as good as they were last year. They jumped out last year and got on a run and had a great season. But Steph, what he's doing, being able to will that team and do what he's doing, man. I love Magic. Caught the tail end of Magic's career, you know. I didn't see enough of Larry Bird since he retired. I mean, he retired after Magic, right? But so I did see Larry Bird, but I think Larry Bird had the back problems when I started watching him already, like those later 80s years or whatever. Isaiah Thomas and those guys, man. You know, who else can you put in there? Charles Barkley. A lot of great players. If you're doing your top 5, I had Magic at number 4. I had Magic at number 3 at one point. I put LeBron past him now over the last, you know, kind of 6-7 years, what LeBron's been able to do. And I'm a Laker fan, like I said, man. I think I may have moved Steph Curry. Oh, okay. I'm gonna hold off. I'm not gonna say he's number 4 yet. But he has the potential to be number 4 on my list now, man. Just based on the amount of time he's done this, what he's done, how he's changed the game. Magic changed the game too. He definitely revolutionize the big point guard, getting up and down the court, fast break offense, and save the NBA. Him and Bird did, of course. So we definitely got to pay homage to Magic. But depending on how this series goes, what he does, and if he can continue to get this team to the finals again and win it again, Steph may be number 4, man. Not maybe. I'm putting him at number 4 on my list. You can make your Mount Rushmore. It's 4 people on Mount Rushmore. I'm going to have Mike Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, and it'll be Steph, man. And I'm not being a prisoner of the moment. I understand there's a lot of other great players out there, but this guy, he's unstoppable at times, man. And just the way he's revolutionized the game, it's been great, man. Now I'll get down to previewing this series and telling you what I think. Who do I think is going to win this series, right? I said all that to say, I think the Lakers are actually probably the better team. And the last series, I didn't trust AD and his health, and I didn't trust the Lakers' health or trust what D'Angelo Russell we're going to get. We got a lot of bad D'Angelo Russell, but he showed up when we needed him to, man, right? He showed up in the play-in when we needed him to. One of those game 4, I think, or whatever game it was, where he hit those 3 threes. He showed up again in game 6. So if D'Angelo Russell can keep giving us a little bit, if we get a Rui Hachimura a little bit, we get a little bit of Dennis Schroeder in there, and we get AD to please AD, just show up. This is a series that Kevon Looney shouldn't do what he did against Kansas City. Against Kansas City. I guess I'm going way back now. Against Sacramento, right? He shouldn't be able to do that this series. My prediction is I think the Lakers will take this series in 6, man. I'm going to say that. They'll steal home court in one of those first 2 games back from Golden State. They've shown that they can be vulnerable. And I think they'll win this. I think this may be an easier series, actually. I don't want to say easier. Let me not go too far. I think the matchup of this series may be a little bit easier, though, just based on the age kind of difference that we had last series for the Lakers and Memphis being able to get out and run. But Memphis mentally wasn't going to be able to play with the Lakers, man. They got a lot of growing up to do. Yeah, I think the Lakers take this series in 6, man. I'm going to stand on that. Now, I said I was going to keep going against them because I didn't want to jinx them. And please, AD, don't make me regret this pick. But I'm picking the Lakers in 6. I think they will handle their business, man. And, we'll be able to see kind of what that GOAT talk, if Steph Curry can jump in there. LeBron, I'm sure, is chomping at the bit to make sure that he gets a chance to beat Steph again. He beat him in that play-in. He beat him in the finals in 2017. Other than that, it's been L's across the board for him. So this is a big moment, man. Big opportunity for LeBron. And it's not really fair because LeBron's in year 20, but he still, has the old man guile. And have y'all noticed this LeBron in the press conference and stuff, man? He's letting his, gray beard come in a little bit. Not using that dye as much as he was, man. I don't know if his Beijing deal has ran out or something, but LeBron, he's leaning into the old man thing, I guess. We saw him at the beginning of the season with Father Time commercials and stuff, and now I don't know if he's just been busy. They had a couple of days off, so he shouldn't have been too busy. But he is not he's not dyeing his beard as much right now. You see the little gray coming through. So we'll see what happens, man. This should be a great series. I'm going to make sure that I'm locked in on every single game of it. This is what it's all about, man. Like I said, I'm a Laker fan, so my rooting interest with them, but I just want to see a great series. It'll be great if we can get another epic 7-game series between LeBron and Steph and some historic moments the way that finals played out. That was a 7-game series. If that played out this way, hey, man, magnifique. That's all we can say, right? So you guys comment below. Tell me what you think, man. Do you think Steph – where do you have Steph at, first and foremost? Where do you have LeBron? Who's your GOAT? You think LeBron is the GOAT? A lot of people – I hear people saying that more and more. They must have never watched Mike Jordan play. That's the only thing I can think. Or Kobe Bryant, for that matter. I love LeBron, but those are my 2 guys at the top. Then Bron, then Magic. And I guess I got Steph at 5 right now. I put him at 5. So those are my top 5. Tell me what your top 5 are, man. Comment below. As always, like and subscribe. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to Earl Knows It All, man. And we got 3 other playoff series to get into, right? I previewed the Warriors and the Lakers, and we did a little GOAT talk. But the first one we're going to get into, in the Eastern Conference, a rivalry renewed. You get the Miami Heat going into Madison Square Garden, taking game one away from the New York Knicks. Sans Julius Randle. Julius Randle did not play in that game due to the sprained ankle that he had the last series. And speaking of rolled ankles, Jimmy Butler, in the course of that game, rolls his ankle. He's questionable for game two. But right now, the Heat have their at least a split in that series. So they're up 1-0. And the Heat seem like they're just poised to kind of take care of their business in these playoffs, man, no matter what it is. I know a lot of Knicks fans were excited that they dodged Giannis, and they were saying Knicks in 5, and going crazy outside of the arena and reliving the bing ding dong or whatever bing bong saying, and how KD, how does it feel to be the Knicks or whatever it was. I'm sure they don't have that enthusiasm right now after facing Jimmy, man. And now maybe they feel a little bit better because Jimmy rolled his ankle and he's questionable, but I wouldn't count that guy out, man. And of course, being a New York Knicks fan, all you guys know is failure. So, be prepared to fail again. That's all I'm saying, man. Hope for the best, but expect the worst, man. So we'll see what happens in that series. Game 2 is tonight. It'll be at 7:30 Eastern time. And we'll see if Jimmy Butler plays. As of right now, he is listed as questionable still, like I said. So we'll see what happens with that one, man. The other 2 series that are going on. Last night, they got game 1 of Philly and Boston. Another rivalry renewed from the 80s, man. We have dreams of Dr. J punching Larry Bird, man. Or, Moses coming in and handling his business against Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale and those guys. Throwback series. Right. This one did not go as I expected it. Joel Embiid was announced that he was going to be out. Of course, he has a sprained knee. They finally, at the game time, said he wasn't going to play. He was on the bench in his nice Balenciaga hoodie, if you like that kind of thing. I didn't think it was too cool, but whatever, man. Speaking of outfits, man, before I start, and this guy, I'm burying the lead. He dropped 45. He had the game of his life, literally, tied his playoff career high. James Harden dominated that game, took the victory home for Philly, 119 and 115. And if you see this outfit, I have to see if I can find the outfit, man, and put it up here. If you dress like this, you better come and play, man, like you're supposed to play. Because that outfit, I don't know what it is, man. He looked like, a bad auntie out there. Like he was looking, I don't know if it was straight off the presses of, the walkways of Milan or whatever it was, but he was comfortable, essentially, I guess, comfortable enough to drop 45. James Harden had the game of his life, man. And, got down late in that game. Boston they kind of wet the bed, man. We saw this last year in the playoffs against Golden State being up 2-1 and untimely turnovers and just not being locked in late in games. Jason Tatum not showing up late in games. Tatum had a great game. He had 39 and 11 last night, but it wasn't enough. Late in that game, you get a turnover. They threw the ball. This looked like North Carolina against Georgetown. You throw the ball to the only man that's open is Tyrese Maxey. The only problem is Malcolm Brogdon is he's not on your team. So he gets the ball, gets an easy, wide open dunk for them to take the lead at that point. They trade field goals on fouls or something, and eventually down by 1 point, James Harden has the ball in his hands, gets a switch to Al Horford. And this is where this new age basketball and switch everything kind of drives me crazy. Why would you allow Al Horford to guard James Harden in that situation? Especially when he's switching off of PJ Tucker, who did not take a shot in the game. If anybody's taking a shot, if you got to take a choice, right? Let's just say I could show my son this basketball game and say, hey, this guy has 45 points. This guy has taken a shot. Never take a shot. He probably has the lowest usage of any player that plays the minutes that he's played in NBA history this year. Who do you think we should let shoot the ball? If he was drawing up a defense, I'm sure he would say, let's let PJ Tucker shoot the ball. If we get the ball out of James Harden's hands, we can live with whatever PJ Tucker does, right? If he beats us, so be it. But you can't let James Harden have a one-on-one situation with Al Horford. Marcus Smart, you got to fight over that pick, man. Or put 2 on the ball. That's it, man. Like both of you, trap him and get the ball out of his hands. Make PJ Tucker make a play. That's what you want to live and die with. Not James Harden getting a step back 3 in front of Al Horford and, dancing in front of him and making a shot. He's been killing you the whole game. And I know it's James Harden and it's the playoffs, but recent history in that game shows us he's killing us. Let's not let this guy get this shot off. Didn't work that way. Harden hits the three. Boston comes down again. Still has a chance to do something. Marcus Smart, instead of taking the layup, tries to pass out of it, throws the ball away. Paul Reed gets it, ends up getting fouled by Jason Tatum, hits the 2 free throws, puts the game on ice, and that's all she wrote, right? So that series is 1-0 right now. James Harden saving the day, stepping up big, saying, hey, I still can do this. This is just not my role on this team. He's the assist leader in the league this year, but he turned the clock back and had a James Harden from Houston type moment, man, doing this thing. Maxey also played well. DeAnthony Melton had a wonderful game as well. And Tobias Harris hit some timely shots too. So, man, Philly, if they can get Embiid back, and if we get this James Harden, there's a lot of ifs, of course. And if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. And I know I'm putting a lot of faith. And there's only one game in Philly saying this, but they could be a tough team to beat in this playoffs, man, going forward. But I don't know that we're going to see Embiid get back to that health. So this probably is more of a wake-up call for Boston than anything, versus it being an indication that they're going to win this series. So that Philly will win the series. So Boston better get their stuff together, man. You don't got Giannis over in the other bracket. You got Miami, 8 seed, and New York. You should be able to handle them. You better handle your business with Philly, man. So we'll see what happens with that, man. But right now, Philly is up 1-0. Embiid still questionable. If you're Philly, do you play Embiid now? Do you say we got a split? Let's let Embiid continue to rest. I say if he's healthy, you play him. I don't think he's healthy though, so I don't think we'll see him in game 2. And we'll see what happens there, man. And the last series that we will cover, of course, Denver and Phoenix. Now, a lot of people have not been giving Denver the respect they need, right? They're the number 1 seed. And I'll be honest with you, I told you I didn't watch very much. I didn't watch any of that series against Minnesota, right? But Denver has taken a 2-0 lead on Phoenix, despite Devin Booker's best efforts and KD's best efforts. First in game 1, it was Jamal Murray going off and going crazy, and he had a huge game. And it was Aaron Gordon having big numbers, put up 21 in game 1, I think, and KCP having a wonderful game as well. In fact, I want to give my get your roll on player of the game for game 1 of that series to both Aaron Gordon and KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They played phenomenal. I think Pope will be a very, very big piece of this series, man. He's a guy. Again, I'm a Laker fan, so I look at a lot of stuff through Laker lenses, right? When the Lakers traded him and Kuzma away, I think it kind of hurt their depth. They kind of finally got that back, but he was a guy who could knock down threes, defend guys, and he's in the perfect role in Denver, I think. That's something they need. He's doing a great job of that, right? Jokic in game 2 is a slugfest. This game goes back to like some 90s playoff basketball. You get a low-scoring game. Neither team scores over 100 points. Jokic put up 38, though, and put the team on his back. I think Jamal Murray finished 3 for 16, I think, or something like that. So after the big game 1, he struggles, but Aaron Gordon chipping in, doing his thing, 16 points. KCP had 14 again, and they just kind of hang around. And to top all this off, and this is why I definitely never picked Phoenix, much like my Lakers that I struggled with saying, hey, Memphis will beat them in the first round just because of health issues probably. You cannot trust that Kevin Durant and Chris Paul will stay healthy throughout the playoffs. Chris Paul hurts his groin in this game, leaves the game, does not return, and we don't know if he's going to be back in this series at this point. You're down 0-2. You're down your point guard, and you don't have depth already. That's kind of an issue for you. You're throwing Jake Lawndale or Landale or whoever his name is out there. You're putting out Bismack Biyombo at times. You got Josh Okogie. Shout out to Josh Okogie, Georgia Tech guy. But, I mean, you got Josh Okogie out there. It's not necessarily, the greatest of situations to be in. Cameron Payne is getting a lot of time now. Phoenix is it's not looking good for him, man. And I'm sure the Nuggets and Jokic remembers that Suns in 4 season, man, where he was out there without any of his guys. No Michael Porter Jr., no Jamal Murray. they may try to put their foot on these guys' neck and sweep them, man. I think that may be what we see right now. Now, history tells us, or the way the playoffs supposedly work, we say the series hasn't started until a team wins on the other team's home court. So technically, right now, we only have 2 playoff series that have started. That would be the Heat versus the Knicks, because they won a game on the road, and Philly started that series already in Boston. We got playoff series there, right? This series has not started yet, technically, because Denver has done what they were supposed to do. They took care of their home court. Now we got to see if Phoenix can hold serve. No KCP. DeAndre Ayton getting worked and saying he's dominating. I like to play on words, but when you're getting dominated, you should not say you were the dominating or dominator or whatever he said. You got to read the room, my guy. Yeah, not a good time to say that. So they seem to be in trouble right now, man. And I think they are probably going to lose this series. I don't know if they're going to get swept, but we may need to stop sleeping on Denver. We keep trying to find every excuse to say who's going to win the West, who's going to win the West. Denver's been the best team pretty much all year since Zion got hurt and your boy Ja Morant went crazy and, started losing his mind back in January. I think they've had the 1 seed since then. So it's interesting to see how this series plays out. I think the Clippers showed us a lot of, Phoenix may not have it all, because all those games were close despite losing that series 4-1. They were in every game at the end of the game pretty much. And that's without Kawhi, without PG, without any of those guys. And, now you got Jokic, you got Jamal Murray, you got Aaron Gordon, you got KCP, you got Jeff Green is giving you minutes. They got Bruce Brown coming off the bench giving you some good minutes. So Denver's a pretty deep team, man. They've been together too. It's interesting how this thing has come together, but Denver they may need to be the team to be the favorites, man. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, I kind of feel like, and I'm gonna reserve judgment on this until we'll see how these series play out that we're in now, second round. But I think Denver definitely will win this series, and like I said, I think they'll face off against the Lakers, and we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, it's interesting, man. What happens in Phoenix if they do get kind of unceremoniously swept out of this series, man? Chris Paul's contract, I think, is not guaranteed fully the next 2 years. So, do you go and get like a Fred VanVleet, try to make a sign and trade deal? And I don't think they have any more assets to give away. They don't have any players that are young that they can give away. And they don't have any more draft picks. So I don't even know how you kind of build around this team if they do get swept out of this. They may just be stuck with this team and have to pray that Chris Paul doesn't get hurt and Kevin Durant doesn't get hurt. Good luck with that, right? Maybe pray that DeAndre Ayton steps up. I don't know. I don't foresee any of that happening, though. We've already got the Chris Paul injury. Ayton ain't going to step up, and, it may be a wrap for Phoenix. So it's time to start kind of letting the wheels turn, see what happens, maybe going forward for them. But definitely if they lose this game 3, it's a wrap. You can, zip them up and call it a day. So stay tuned for that and see. And, of course, as always, stay tuned for more Earl Knows It All, man. I'll be giving you a recap of what happened in the game 1 series of Warriors-Lakers. So we doubling up on you back-to-back days right now since I missed you guys on Monday. But thank you for watching, man. As always, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And, let us know what you think in the comments, man. Cut on your notifications as well. And we'll see you next time on Earl Knows It All.